In the golden hush of the opulent thread boutique, where the floor shone brighter than mirrors and every pair of shoes gleamed like treasure, two little girls sat trembling. Their pale pink blouses and gray skirts, once pristine, were now marked by dirt and tears. The air was thick with embarrassment and disbelief.
One of the girls, her small hands clutching a white high heel, was sobbing uncontrollably. The other, quieter but just as shaken, stared blankly at the floor where a small trail of mud stained the spotless tiles. Above them stood the store manager, impeccably dressed, sharp as glass and cold as stone. "If you made it dirty," she snapped, "then clean it."
Use your tongue if you have to. Maybe then you'll learn to respect things you can't afford.
Her words cut through the air like a whip. The girls froze. Their mother, a woman who'd been working at the boutique for only a month, stood nearby, her face pale, her hands trembling, unable to speak.
Her name was Elizabeth, a single mother who had lost her husband to a construction accident 2 years earlier.
The job at Belle Époque, an elite fashion store in London, was her last hope to keep food on the table for her daughters, Grace and Lily. It paid little, but she told herself that one day, if she worked hard enough, she'd climb the ladder, maybe even manage her own branch. But the store's culture was cruel. The manager, Miss Peterson, believed that fear bred discipline, and that people like Elizabeth were lucky to even stand inside those golden walls.
That afternoon, Elizabeth had brought her daughters to work for just an hour. Their babysitter had fallen sick, and she couldn't afford to miss her shift.
She had begged Miss Peterson to let them sit quietly in a corner, promising they wouldn't touch anything. For a while it went smoothly, until a customer accidentally brushed mud onto the floor near where the girls sat. When Miss Peterson spotted the dirt, she saw an opportunity not to clean it, but to humiliate.
She turned toward the girls, her voice sharp and cruel. "Which one of you did this?" she demanded.
Grace tried to explain that it wasn't them, but her words trembled. Miss Peterson didn't care.
She sneered at their modest clothes and scuffed shoes, her disgust thinly veiled behind a cold smile. "You don't belong here," she hissed.
"If you want to touch luxury, you'd better earn it." And then came the words that froze everyone in the store. "Go ahead, clean it. Show us how much you care." Grace's lips quivered as she shook her head. Lily, just 7, began crying harder, clutching the shoe she'd been holding, not understanding why this stranger was yelling. Their mother fell to her knees, apologizing over and over, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Miss Peterson," she whispered, "they're just children." But Miss Peterson's pride wouldn't let go. She leaned closer and muttered again, her tone dripping with venom. "Then clean it yourself with your tongue if you have to." A silence fell over the boutique. Every employee froze. Some turned away. Others stared, unable to believe what they had just heard. And then from the far end of the store came the sound of footsteps, measured, confident, calm. A man in a navy blue suit, tall and distinguished, approached the scene. His name was Mr. Thomas Hayes, known to the staff only as the Quiet Investor. No one realized he was the owner of the entire luxury chain. He had come in unannounced that morning to inspect the atmosphere of his stores, to observe how employees treated customers and each other. What he found instead was a moment that shattered his heart. He had seen many forms of arrogance in business, but never this. The sight of two little girls crying on a marble floor while a manager mocked them was too much.
He paused, took in the scene, and for a few seconds, no one breathed. Then he stepped forward and spoke softly, yet with the kind of authority that silenced the world.
"Miss Peterson," he said, "did I just hear you tell a child to clean the floor with her tongue?" Miss Peterson froze. Her confident mask crumbled instantly.
"Yes, sir. It was a misunderstanding," she stammered. They caused a mess." "Enough," he interrupted, his voice trembling, not with anger, but with sorrow.
He looked at the girls, then at their mother, who stood shaking beside them. "Ma'am," he said gently, "please stand. You don't have to kneel in my store."
Elizabeth hesitated, still in shock, but the warmth in his tone gave her strength. She stood, clutching her daughters to her chest.
Mr. Hayes turned back to the manager. "You've humiliated a mother in front of her children," he said, his voice low.
"You've taught cruelty instead of grace. You've forgotten that the worth of a brand means nothing if it costs someone their dignity."
Tears welled up in his eyes as he spoke. He knelt down beside the girls, offering his handkerchief to wipe their faces.
"You didn't do anything wrong," he told them softly, "and you'll never be treated like that again." Lily, still hiccuping between sobs, looked up and whispered, "Are you mad at us?"
He smiled sadly. "No, sweetheart. I'm mad at the world for forgetting kindness." Then, to everyone's shock, he took the dirty shoe from her hands, walked to the nearest counter, and dropped it there. No shoe, no matter how expensive, is worth more than a child's tears. He turned to the entire staff. "Everyone remember this day," he said firmly, "because this store, this company, will stand for respect and compassion, or it will stand for nothing." He then looked back at Miss Peterson. "You're relieved of your duties, effective immediately." She stood frozen, speechless, as he motioned for security to escort her out. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't awkward. It was cleansing. Something in the air shifted. For the first time, Elizabeth felt seen, not as a struggling mother, but as a human being who deserved respect. Mr. Hayes asked for her full story.
And as she spoke, hesitant at first, then with growing emotion, he realized just how much she had endured. Raising 2 girls alone, juggling bills, skipping meals so her children could eat.
By the time she finished, tears streamed down his face openly. "You shouldn't have to suffer like this," he said softly. "From this moment on, you'll never have to again."
He offered her a new role, assistant store manager, with full benefits and a salary that would change her life. Elizabeth's knees nearly gave way.
"Sir, I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. He smiled gently. "Just raise them to be as kind as you are. That's thanks enough." In the following weeks, Elizabeth's life transformed. The store became a beacon of compassion. Staff were retrained to treat everyone with empathy, no matter their background. And at the front counter, in a small gold frame, hung a simple quote written by Mr. Hayes himself: "Luxury is meaningless without kindness." If this story moved you deeply, if it reminded you that true luxury is found not in material possessions, but in human kindness,
then you know that respect and compassion can transform lives and cultures.
Please like this video, subscribe to Third Person View, and share it with someone who champions dignity and heartfelt leadership. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that matter.
Before we close, I want to ask you, what do you believe is the true cost of dignity? And how far would you go to protect it? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all.